Good morning, one and all, from the second age of reason. We are here today to talk about a topic that's very pertinent during the election seasons. The topic is programming. You know, I've been programming computers for like 40 years. Millions of lines of code, actually. And what is a program? It's a series of instructions designed to make a computer or a machine repeat the same sequence of events over and over and over again. I mean, your computers do it all the time. They boot up, you log in, you run programs, you run games. They're all programs. They all do what they're told to do. In fact, you can program more than just a computer, more than just a cell phone, more than just the stoplights on the street. Animals can be programmed. Some of them have built-in programs, and that's why the birds can fly great distances one way and then the other way and find their way back, because it's part of their program. They can't help it. It's built in. Some people have more variable programs. As Pavlov proved with his dogs, if you ring a little bell or provide a signal that's the same every time, the dog can be programmed. His mouth will water and he will come to eat or drink upon that signal. He does it every time. And it's useful. We have those programs too amongst people. Sometimes we call them habits. Sometimes we might even call them addictions. But we do have programs. And there are more than one way to program an animal or a person. And one way might be through the education system. Another way is through the family at home or the church, what we call our institutions. They program us, one and all. One of the biggest institutions that programs us is called television. Entertainment. They don't call it programming for nothing. They don't call it a program for nothing. They do that so that then you see what's on that screen, and that is imprinted in you, more or less indelibly, to regulate your behavior. And to put certain things into your mind to be default settings. And what I'm going to encourage you to do this year is to break your program. Hack it. Do something different. You know, throughout the various elections, I have been pushing a thing called third parties. Those are any party that is not one of the two main ones. And I always get this back and saying, but the third parties can never win. That is a programmed reaction. Of course, they can't win unless you vote for it. But what can a third party candidate change? Why the system? How are you going to change the system? Well, you can't change anything until first you change yourself. I change myself. You have to change your programming. And the more we change our programming, the more it will become seen that there is a bug in the system. As long as you keep following your program, the system will seem and appear to be functioning properly, and that what you get is what you've requested all along. All along, you keep voting for the lesser of two evils, the least worst, and what happens is you get the worst. And then you complain, and you say, I'm so proud of my system, it's the best there is. No, it's not. That's another thing you've been programmed for. So, this year, let's try something different. We now have currently two of the worst possible candidates. The primary elections have eliminated all the reasonable candidates and brought us to the worst of the worst. And so now it's like you're confronted with dog poop and cat poop. And which one will you choose? And you're told that it's your duty to choose one of them. And if you're told, if you respond back, I want a caramel apple, you can't have a caramel apple. You can have a cow pie or a horse apple, but not a caramel apple. Well, you can have a caramel apple. You just have to deviate from the programming. Now, if you're a conservative veering towards Republican or Libertarian, they do have a candidate, Gary Johnson. He's more reasonable than the current two mischoices you've been given. And if you're more to the left side, like socialist, there is a Socialist Party USA, but they don't seem to have much exposure. Nobody's heard of their candidates. I think they're like Sotilik and Walker, but look up Socialist Party USA if you really want to go actual socialist. If you want something that's close to socialist and has a little more exposure, try the Green Party. And their candidate is Jill Stein. Look up some of their videos, look up some of their statements of what the party is about. For both of those, Libertarian and Green. And you might find that they serve your interests far better than the Demopublican corporate party that you are told is the only possible ones. So, it's not a horse race. They can never win. They can never win unless you vote for them. It's not a horse race. It doesn't matter. If your candidate doesn't win, you're the loser anyway, which is usually about 49 point something percent to 50 something percent. It always seems to be, doesn't it? I would encourage you and your friends and your relatives, if you're not registered, register now. You need enough time. Make sure if you need to be registered for a party that you're registered with the party you want. And then make sure to vote in November. But by all means, this year, let's break our programming. The TV comes on, remember, that's a program and it's meant for you, and it wants to download into your mind. But you have the choice to alter that download, or use the download differently than what it was intended to. So just remember that in November, break your programming. Choose the caramel apple, not the horse apple. So until later, we'll be seeing you.